There is a particular mistake women make after leaving a man. They assume that because he has dated other women, slept with other women, perhaps even entered another relationship, he has moved on. That is not always what happened. Sometimes he has not moved on at all. Sometimes he has spent years trying to reproduce one emotional experience with different bodies, different cities, different women, different hairstyles, different conversations, and increasingly elaborate lies to himself. He does not necessarily want you back. That is the part that confuses people. Wanting you back would require humility, accountability, and the unpleasant labor of confronting what he ruined. Many men would rather walk barefoot through a desert than say, "I mishandled something valuable because I was insecure." What he wants is the feeling he had with you. He wants the version of himself that existed around you. He wants the attention that softened his doubts. He wants the sexual validation that made him feel powerful. He wants the emotional regulation he received from your presence. He wants to find another woman who will make him feel wanted without forcing him to become worthy of being wanted. And this is why some men spend years chasing the ghost of one relationship. By the end of this video, you will understand why a man can have access to women, sex, attention, admiration, even a new relationship, and still be psychologically trapped in a connection he claims is over. You will understand why he may compare every woman to you without admitting it. Why he may become obsessed only after you withdraw your energy. And why his attempts to recreate the past often become more desperate with time. Because the truth is darker than romance. Some men do not mourn the woman. They mourn the private kingdom they were allowed to rule inside her attention. At the beginning of a powerful relationship, there is often a secret exchange happening beneath the visible one. You think you are giving affection, time, sensuality, companionship, loyalty. He thinks he is receiving proof of something he cannot prove to himself. That he is desirable, that he is enough, that he is not ordinary, that he can be loved without having to expose the parts of himself he secretly distrusts. A woman can become, without realizing it, the emotional mirror that allows a man to tolerate his own reflection. When he feels impressive, capable, sexual, intelligent, admired, or protected from loneliness around her, he attaches not only to her, but to the identity she allows him to inhabit. This is why he may act strangely after the breakup. He may chase sex aggressively. He may suddenly become highly social. He may start posting more. He may date women he would not have looked at before. He may become obsessed with appearing unaffected. A man who is truly unaffected rarely needs to announce it to the entire internet, like a hostage reading a statement. He is not necessarily looking for connection. He is looking for restoration. He is trying to restore the internal equilibrium he lost when your attention disappeared. Now this is where most people misunderstand the psychology. They assume a man seeks another woman because the previous woman was replaceable. In reality, the frantic search for replacements can reveal the opposite. He is looking because he cannot tolerate the absence. He is attempting to recreate a specific emotional arrangement, but he does not understand that the arrangement was not created by beauty alone, sex alone, or availability alone. It was created by the unique chemistry between his wounds and your response to them. Perhaps you admired him when he felt invisible. Perhaps you made him feel sexually potent when he was insecure. Perhaps you believed in a future for him that he had not earned, but desperately wanted to believe was possible. Perhaps you challenged him in a way that made him feel alive. Perhaps you were warm enough to soothe him and distant enough to keep him pursuing. Perhaps you simply saw him more clearly than anyone else had. That combination is difficult to replace, and men often make the fatal error of thinking they can reproduce it through superficial similarities. So they look for your hair color, your profession, your voice, your body type, your age, your energy. They try to find women who are like you, which is one of the more absurd projects in human behavior. It is like trying to recreate a thunderstorm by purchasing a gray lampshade. They can copy the details. They cannot recreate the dynamic. There is research behind this. A 2010 study published in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin, led by researcher Erica Slaughter and her colleagues, examined the way breakups affect self-concept clarity. The study found that when people lose an important relationship, they can become less certain about who they are. In simple terms, a serious relationship can weave itself into your identity. When it ends, you do not just lose a person. You lose a version of yourself that existed through that person. For men who have built too much of their confidence around a woman's attention, the rupture is particularly destabilizing. They may not have the language for it. They may call it boredom. They may call it bad luck in dating. They may call every woman after you crazy, too needy, too cold, or not like my ex. But beneath all that noise is a simpler problem. Their favorite source of emotional regulation is gone. He doesn't miss you only because he loves you. He misses what your attention did to him. That statement can be painful, but it is also liberating. It explains why some men resurface years later, with a message that appears sentimental, but feels strangely empty. I was thinking about you. I saw something that reminded me of us. Nobody understood me like you did. I hope you are doing well. They speak as if they have just discovered poetry. In reality, they may have experienced a moment of psychological discomfort and gone searching through their memory for the woman who once made that discomfort disappear. This does not mean every man who returns is calculating. Most people are not sophisticated enough to be master strategists. They are simply driven by needs they do not understand. But unconscious behavior can still create very conscious damage. The man may genuinely feel regret. He may genuinely miss you. He may genuinely believe he has changed. The question is not whether his emotion is real in the moment. Emotions are always real in the moment. The question is whether he has built the character required to behave differently after the emotion fades. Because that is where the romance usually dies, and the old machinery starts up again. What happens next is where it becomes dangerous. A woman who has finally regained her footing often becomes most vulnerable when he returns. Not because she is weak, because he now appears to validate the story she wanted all along. He finally sees her value. He finally understands what he lost. He finally comes back with the words she waited years to hear. But recognition is not repair. A man can recognize your value and still be incapable of protecting it. He can regret losing you and still be addicted to the traits that made him lose you. He can be jealous of the new men in your life and still lack the discipline to become a stable partner. Jealousy is not devotion. Nostalgia is not responsibility. Desire is not character. A man who comes back because his ego is wounded will focus on regaining access. A man who comes back because he has changed will focus on creating safety. Watch the difference. The first man asks what you are doing, who you are seeing, whether you miss him, why you seem distant, why you are suddenly so different. He is preoccupied with the loss of his position in your life. The second man speaks plainly about what he did, what he understands now, and what would be different in measurable behavior over time. One is trying to repossess a feeling. The other is trying to earn trust. Most women are trained to listen for the emotion. Pay attention to the structure. Does he honor boundaries when you do not reward him immediately? Does he respect your time? Does he become defensive when you name the past? Does he demand forgiveness because he has suffered the consequences of his own decisions? Does he make promises with the confidence of a man ordering drinks on someone else's tab? The quality of his return is revealed by what he does when you do not make it easy. This is also why your most attractive self is often who you are when you do not like him. Think about it. Before you became emotionally invested, you had perspective. You did not obsessively decode response times. You did not turn his moods into weather reports for your nervous system. You were relaxed. You were discerning. You laughed more easily. You had standards without making speeches about them. Then you liked him, and suddenly many women begin auditioning for a role they already had. They become less direct, less playful, less occupied with their own lives, less difficult to manipulate. They call it showing interest. He experiences it as a shift in leverage. The behavior you think proves your affection can sometimes reveal that you have handed over your internal balance. That does not make men evil geniuses. It makes them human. People tend to value what has limits. Respect is the secret ingredient in obsession, because respect creates consequence. If access to you is automatic, your value can become invisible through familiarity. But if you are warm without being available for mistreatment, affectionate without becoming dependent, and present without surrendering your identity, you create something rare. A woman cannot be easily replaced when she cannot be easily reduced. This is why you must always remain alert to red flags, especially when a man is trying to recreate an old relationship through you. He may be charming, because charm is how he gets past the gate. He may be intense because intensity creates premature intimacy. He may describe an ex as the only woman who ever understood him, hoping you will volunteer for the same role. He may be seeking not a partner, but a new emotional caretaker with better lighting. Do not be impressed by the size of the vacancy in his life. A vacancy is not an invitation. If you are considering one-on-one coaching, monthly and yearly coaching options are available through the link in the description. This is for women who want to examine recurring relationship patterns with more precision, understand the behavior they are dealing with, and stop confusing emotional intensity with evidence. After ordering, check your spam or promotions folder, because emails sometimes vanish into those digital graveyards. Subscribe to the newsletter as well for discounts and updates. The final truth is this. When a man spends years trying to recreate one relationship, he is often not pursuing love. He is pursuing psychological resurrection. He wants to feel like the man he was when a particular woman reflected back an image he could live with. But nobody can sustain another person's identity forever. Eventually, the woman either becomes exhausted, resentful, smaller, or awake. And once she wakes up, the old spell becomes embarrassing. She sees that she was not placed on earth to serve as an emotional life support machine for a man who refuses to develop an inner life of his own. If he misses you, let him miss you. If he regrets it, let him carry the education. If he tries to recreate what he lost with someone else, he may spend a very long time discovering that imitation has a poor success rate in matters of the heart. The woman he lost was not just a collection of traits. She was an entire atmosphere. And atmospheres cannot be cloned by a man with a dating app, unresolved issues, and a playlist from 2022. If this gave you a clearer understanding of what men may actually be chasing after a breakup, subscribe to the channel and like this video. Then tell me in the comments, have you ever watched a man try to recreate the relationship he had with you, only to realize he was chasing a feeling he did not know how to build? And if you want to go deeper, order The Feminine Game. After purchasing, check your spam or promotions folder for your order information. Also visit the new channel, X-Pimp Explains Men Masterclass, where new 50-minute videos are uploaded weekly.